Stephen finally decided to retire at the age of 62. I was glad he was finally gone. I could not stand him holding a grudge against me over a prank I took part in nearly 3 years ago any longer. With him gone, there was room for another maintenance worker. Our department was lacking any female workers, so a newcomer by the name of Victoria was hired. She was a few weeks away from graduating high school, but since she was old enough to legally work here, Blue gave her a job. And the suspension, by the way, would end in a few weeks. Blue would be down one worker for the next several weeks, but we assisted them, and they had no worries. Victoria would be greeted warmly by her group since she was the only female in the department. They warned her about us Reds, basically telling her that we were troublemakers and such. Naturally, she was not greeted warmly by my group. They treated her no different than how they treated the other Blue workers. Unlike her male coworkers, she couldn't handle the verbal abuse. At one point, Stanley literally shoved her to the ground just because she was trying to help him fix a pipe that was busted. He didn't want a Blue worker helping him out, especially a woman. Things were so toxic amongst both sides that Mr. Collins sent Victoria to the train yard instead to keep her away from all the fighting. Even when she got to the train yard, she still felt very sad. She would work around other Reds at the yard, but at least they, for the most part, had the decency to treat her like a person. I was making deliveries from the chocolate factory at the time. I was told that Blue would be getting a replacement for Steven that day, but I had no idea who it would be. I just had to assume it would be another male worker, one that would be just as devious and or obnoxious as Steven. When I got to the train yard, I met Victoria for the first time. Based on the uniform she wore, I assumed she was Steven's replacement. She was sitting on a bench crying. I could not understand why she was upset or why she was even at the train yard on her first day, not at the workshop learning her new job. I was admittedly scared to even speak to her. I mean, she was a rival. She may have been upset, but she could have yelled at me for simply talking to her while being a Red, but I knew I had to be brave and do the right thing. I sat next to her and just started to talk. Excuse me, are you okay? I asked.
No.
Victoria sniffled. The moment she looked at me, she immediately looked away, knowing I worked for the opposing side and thinking I was going to hurt her.
Please don't hurt me. I didn't do anything wrong. I'm just trying to learn my job. Have I somehow offended you? I'm sorry.
Something was wrong with her. I could sense it. I needed to find out what was going on with her. Is something wrong? I asked. I might be able to help you if you'd let me.
Why do you care? Your group obviously doesn't want me here. Why are you standing up for me?
Oh, were my fellow workers being mean to you?
Yes, I was just trying to help your group out because my boss said so. And they did nothing but bully me. I just wanted to do a good job and be appreciated for it. I never meant any harm.
I had never seen a rival employee cry before. It was kind of sad to see, as it seemed that Victoria really wanted to make a good impression with everyone, including us Reds. But my fellow workers seemed to have went too far with the bullying. Yeah, she was a Blue, but that was no excuse for their behavior, especially when it was literally her first day on the job, and she didn't even do anything wrong to warrant their abuse. I continued talking to Victoria. I think I might have to have a word with my group about how they treat you. I'll try and knock some sense into them if I can, I told her.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Even though you didn't have to waste your time talking to me like this.
Hey, I'm just doing what's right. We might be rivals, but that doesn't change the fact that we're both human beings. We should be able to get along and treat each other with respect.
You're right. Thank you for understanding.
You are quite welcome. I was honestly surprised that she was actually grateful. She turned out to be really sweet. I actually started to like her, not in the way you were thinking, thought. We ended up becoming pretty good friends after that. Would you like to come with me to the chocolate factory? You could use some time away from here.
Sure, I'd love to.
I asked the managers if I could bring Victoria along with me, and surprisingly, they said yes. I waited for my cargo to be loaded onto the train, then we drove to the chocolate factory to pick up the next delivery. Victoria enjoyed traveling with me. I was glad that she seemed to enjoy my company. The journey was quite long, but we made it to the chocolate factory on time. And no, people, this isn't Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. It's just a regular all-chocolate factory.
Wow. This place is huge.
Victoria exclaimed as we pulled up to the massive chocolate factory. We parked the truck at the loading dock and got out. We were given permission to head inside and see how they make the chocolate. Victoria was as wide-eyed and amazed at the factory as I was. She grabbed my arm as we walked.
I never knew how much work went into making chocolate. It's amazing.
Yeah, it is. By the end of the tour, we were given chocolate bars to take home with us. Also, our shipment was ready to be picked up by then, so we headed back to the truck. Victoria clearly didn't want to leave the factory as it instantly became her happy place. You really like it here, Hawk?
I do. I'm really going to miss it here. It feels like home.
Well, don't worry, we make deliveries from here every day. If you like, you can run this route with me more often, so long as the managers approve.
Really? You'd let me come here with you?
Yeah, if you want to.
I'd love to.
I was glad I made friends with Victoria. I learned that not every rival employee was mean-spirited and hateful. Victoria was just trying to be polite to everyone in the workshop, and everyone on my side despised her for trying to help them. If it weren't for me, she would have given up long ago. I was glad I made her feel better about herself, even if we weren't on the same side. The journey back to the train yard went by quickly. It was lunchtime when we arrived, which gave me a chance to have a discussion with my group about how they were treating Victoria. But it seemed like Mr. B beat me to it. He sounded very disappointed with them for being so mean to her, and for basically no reason at all.
Look, I get that Victoria's a rival, but she did nothing to deserve that kind of treatment. You went way too far with that kind of behavior. I can't understand treating the other guys that way because, well, they ask for it all the time, but she's a newcomer and a nice person, and she genuinely wants to work well with all of us. I'm not saying you become best friends or anything, but you could try to at least respect her as a human being. Thanks to Luke, she's determined to continue working along with us. You will all apologize to her the moment she returns to the workshop.
Mr. Bean told them. Fortunately, they did as they were told. She forgave them as she now understood why they were acting the way they were. From then on, our group worked well with her. No altercations between them and her ever occurred again. Of course, my group would continue to have the usual fights with Blue's maintenance staff, but they always made sure to keep Victoria out of it. At 3:30 p.m., with barely anything else to do, my group got together and decided to listen to the radio.
Which baseball game should we listen to?
Asked Gordon.
We should listen to the Yankees game.
Lester said.
All right.
If Victoria's still here, so we should invite her to listen with us.
Sinley said. I'll go find her, I said. I went in search of Victoria. I found her outside eating a snack. Hey, Victoria, are you into baseball?
Oh, yes. I'm a White Sox fan.
Perfect, because they were facing the Yankees right now, and we've decided to invite you to listen to the game with us.
Really? Wow, thanks. That's so kind of you. You know what? Some of my coworkers have left early anyway, so I'll happily accept your kind invitation.
I took her inside and we all sat down together. We listened to the game as we enjoyed hot dogs and nachos. In the end, the Yankees shut the Sox out. Some of us were disappointed, but none of us were mad about it. Victoria was a good sport about the game. Once the day was over, she and I had another talk.
Luke, thank you for making me feel so welcome here. I really appreciate it. We may be rivals, but I know I'm in good company with you.
You are welcome, Vic. It's no problem.
Friends.
Friends. We shook on our deal. I was glad I made her feel like she had a place here. And before you ask, no, she and I did not become romantically involved. We agreed that we would be better as friends. Luckily for her, she would find a boyfriend soon enough. Victoria would be graduating from high school today, but first she decided to come to work with us. She told us all about the upcoming graduation ceremony, and some of us promised to attend, myself included, and even Andy, who, by the way, had just returned from his suspension. He was determined to make up from his mistake 3 months ago, and he would do whatever it took to make things right. He heard about Steven's retirement and was a bit saddened by it. He was going to miss him. The moment he entered the workshop, he went to find Fred.
Hey, Fred, you got any work for me to do?
And he asked, still looking for Fred. As he searched for Fred, Victoria walked right past him.
Hey,
Victoria said as she passed by, and he was surprised he had never seen her before.
Ooh, that.
Fred then appeared behind him.
Well, it is my little pal.
Fred said.
Ah, Fred, you scared me.
Fred just laughed.
You should have seen your face, especially the one you made the moment you met Victoria.
I take it that she's Steven's replacement.
She's working part-time right now, and she's actually going to graduate from high school tonight. Some of us are attending the graduation ceremony to show our support for her. You got time, you should come along too.
And he thought about it.
Yeah, I think I will.
Fred could tell that Andy was very interested in Victoria, and the two had barely even talked to each other.
You already have a crush on her, don't you?
Oh no, what are you talking about?
Oh, come on, Andy. Admit it, you do.
Okay, fine, yeah, I have a crush on her.
I knew it. I could tell by the way you reacted when she walked by.
Be honest, Fred, do I have a chance?
Oh, I don't know. She's a pretty nice girl. I don't know about her standards, though. Try sending her gifts or doing something a little more romantic. It might help.
I'll try, thanks, Fred.
No problem. But before you even make a start on that, we've got work to do.
Oh, right. Anyway, what do you want me to do?
You maybe inspect that Corvette that just came in, make sure nothing's damaged.
Yeah, I can do that.
And he was being really careful all day with every single task that he was given. He was so busy, he literally had no time to even argue with me or my crew. Though during lunch, he couldn't stop thinking about Victoria. He was even eyeing her from a long distance when she wasn't looking. As the day went on, he thought of ways to impress her while continuing to do his best work. After the day was over, Mr. Collins spoke to Andy.
Not bad, I'd say. And if you still feel bad about the incident, just remember that your actions didn't get anyone killed.
Yeah, I know, but still, I was so stupid that day.
Oh, well, we all learn from our mistakes, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Mr. Collins soon left the workshop. It was almost time for Victoria's graduation at that point, and he wanted to go, but he knew he'd have to look decent, so he went to his apartment. When he got there, he looked in the mirror. He looked very dirty, and he looked very tired. He decided to show her. However, this time, he deep cleaned himself. He never thought he would ever do this, but he would do anything to make Victoria like him. After a relatively long shower, and he went to find his suit. He hadn't worn it in a while, but he thought it still looked good on him. He was soon ready to go. He then got in his van and drove to the high school, which should have been a simple drive soon turned into a long and agonizing one. And he was supposed to replace his tires a while ago, but forgot, and one of them finally went flat.
Fuck, I forgot I had to chain my tires.
He tried to continue driving, but his van could not move. It was going to take a while to get help, but luckily, a taxi was passing by at the time, and the driver stopped to help.
Could you take me to the high school?
Of course, get in.
The taxi driver said, and he got in the taxi, and they were on their way, but they didn't get far, as the taxi's engine soon blew.
Are you kidding me? Now I'm stuck again.
Damn it, the mechanic told me he had fixed this thing yesterday.
And he was very frustrated. But just then, another taxi belonging to a different company came.
Call yourself a taxi driver. You're a fucking joke.
The other taxi driver said to the first one.
Well, don't you start. You think I wanted this to happen?
They both argued and soon got into a fight. Neither of them won, by the way, and he had to break the fight up.
Can you do something useful and take me to the high school as fast as you can?
And he asked the second taxi driver.
Yeah, sure thing.
Great, thanks.
The two of them drove away and left the other taxi driver behind.
Hey, what about me?
Fuck you, you can stay stranded there for all I care.
Fuck you too, then.
The second taxi driver sped down the road.
When I say take me to the high school as fast as you can, I didn't mean fast as in 100 miles per hour. Slow the fuck down, will you?
Don't be such a pussy. Besides, I'm being careful. I'm not going any faster than the speed limit.
Except they were, and they were approaching a pretty sharp curve. The taxi driver tried to drift the car to the right to avoid going off the road, but it was too late, and they drove right into a muddy embankment. Somehow, they weren't hurt, which was pretty lucky, but now they were stuck, and Andy's suit was completely ruined.
This is bullshit. Why would anything go right today?
Fortunately for him, Fred happened to be driving by. He stopped his car and got out.
What happened?
Nothing would go right today. I wanted to look nice for Victoria, now I look like a wreck.
Don't worry about it. I'm sure she'll look past that. Come on, I'll take you to the school.
Thanks, Fred.
No problem. Let's go.
This time, they had no further problems, and they got to the school in no time. He and Fred soon met up with us.
Well, Andy, you look awful.
Bill said.
Well, thanks for pointing out the obvious, Bill.
He then told us all about how he just wanted to impress Victoria and how he spent the past few hours trying to look good. Well, I'm sure Victoria will still give you a chance, I told Andy.
You really think so?
Many weeks before you came back, I've actually spoken with her, and let me tell you, she's the sweetest, nicest person I've ever met in my entire life. She would absolutely give you a chance, I'm sure of it. Andy's face lit up as his anxiety began to subside. He waited for the ceremony to end before walking up to Victoria and asking her out. Once the time came, Andy took a deep breath and went to find her.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Andy was a literal mess. His heart was pounding as he was getting closer and closer to her. He was literally right behind her and was shaking.
Ooh, excuse me, Victoria.
Yes.
Victoria asked, turning around. Her eyes widened when she noticed how muddy and dirty Andy looked.
Oh my goodness. What happened to you?
Andy stuttered.
You look like you've been through hell.
I did. Apparently the journey to get here was difficult, to say the least.
I see.
She then looked at him closely.
I don't know why, but you kind of look familiar to me. I can't place you. Do you work at the workshop by any chance?
Yes, I do. I'm Eddie.
Oh, so you're the guy Fred told me about. Weren't you suspended for 3 months?
I was, but today's my first day back.
Well, in that case, welcome back.
Thanks.
Fred also told me how often you kept staring at me while I was working.
He did not just snitching me, Fred, you son of a bitch.
Fred laughed, and so did we. Victoria was very amused as well.
Oh, don't worry about it. I don't really blame you for being attracted to me.
Which is the reason why I wanted to give you this.
And he handed her a card.
What's this?
She looked at the card and her eyes widened.
Will you go with me?
She read out loud. There was a long pause. We all watched and prayed she would say yes.
Yes, I will.
And he was literally jumping up and down with joy. We all congratulated him and high-fived each other.
You know, you could really use a bath.
Well, you don't say.
Not to worry. I'll help you out with that.
Wait, what? No, thank you. I can do it myself. Besides, I don't think you'd want to even begin cleansing my body. I mean, look how filthy I am.
I want a challenge.
Well, okay then.
She took him to her house and got him cleaned up. From what he told me, he was covered in bubbles from head to toe, and the end result was pretty impressive. He had never felt so fresh. Victoria even washed his suit for him, and he was grateful.
I've never felt so good.
I'm glad. So are you ready for our date?
I was born ready, and I know the perfect place to take you.
Where?
The lake.
Which lake?
The one that's literally behind the workshop.
I didn't know Mountain Lab had a lake.
And even better, they have their boats we can rent out.
Really?
Yeah, come on, I'll show you.
The two went to the lake and got in an airboat. They rode around the lake for a bit and were having the time of their lives.
This is amazing.
I know, right?
It's so nice of you to bring me out here, Andy.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I've wanted to bring someone here for a long time now, and I'm glad it was you.
I'm glad I came too.
They kept on riding around the lake in the airboat until they decided to head back. By that point, it was time for them to go their separate ways.
It was a pleasure being with you, Victoria.
I enjoy being with you too, Andy. We will definitely go out again tomorrow.
I look forward to it.
Great, see you then.
See you.
The following day, and he couldn't stop smiling. The date with Victoria went so well that he was full of joy the entire time. And after another successful day where he took Victoria to a cafe for lunch, they became partners. We were happy for them, and their relationship eased the negative energy that had been building up in the workshop by a considerable margin. They worked well together, and they were fun to be around. It was less conflict for my crew to deal with, and that was a good thing. Annie and Victoria continued to spend time together, and it wouldn't be long before they got married. I'm getting ahead of myself, though, so I'll just stop here.